to check it. So the last thing we'll go into is ruling in and ruling out of specific clusters. When it comes to the shoulder special tests, there's really nothing special about them. Some are even less than a coin flip if you really had it or not. So there, it's best to testing clusters. When I was doing the research for this, it was actually really frustrating to actually find the proper clusters. Oftentimes, even according to Hodges' work, a lot of times it's those age factors and then like night pain, etc. That actually is not a special test, which can be a little frustrating. But also, we have to admit where the data is weakest at as well. So for the first one is a full thickness cuff tear, and depends on if you looking at Park's work or if you're actually looking at others. 60 to 65 is the age you're really looking for. Of course, this is the rule in a full thickness cuff tear. One thing that you're looking for is a painful arc. So what I want you to do is just go ahead and go thumb up for me. And is that painful? Go ahead and relax. Just like that. Is that painful in that 90 to 120 or 80 to 120 degrees? The other one is come out to the side and go thumb up for me. Good. And go ahead and relax. Perfect. Just like that. The drop arm, if they go and quickly accelerate, that's another factor to look into with this as well. And then finally, go ahead and hold your arms out just like this for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lightly push you in. Don't let me do it. Ready? Hold, hold. Just like that and relax. Good. Or come into both sides like this. Press in for me. Hold, 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 and relax. Good, good. So, bring your arm up like this. No, don't bring your arm up like this. Bring it over like this. So dogs can be very dogs aren't very compliant patients, sorry. So with that, external weakness can be something as well. And night pain is another factor as well. That can be another thing that lead into a full thickness cuff tear. I'll actually put in some other things from a Cardigan study, and I'll actually put a slide in there. But some things to look for is a negative painful arc, a negative speed, which will show, and actually a negative external lag, which is really if you're coming up here, just like that, bring your arm up here. Now I want you to hold it and don't let me drop. Just don't let it move at all. Ready? Hold. Just like that. So that is actually very, very sensitive, which means sensitive is to rule out for a full thickness cuff tear. But I'll put that actually an algorithm from that study up to kind of follow along. According to Hodges, there actually is not a really good Hedges, I'm sorry, from Hedges, there's not a good cluster for the slap tear. One that I do frequently is a bicep load 2 test. And the reason I do that is because slaps are generally occurring through the peel back mechanism. So what you can do is supine, you can even do it sitting. Go ahead and hold your arm up just like this one. So what I can come and don't let me press you down. Ready? Hold, 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 hold. So when I'm doing that, what I'm actually doing is trying to push her into pronation, so she has to stop it being supination, and she has to extend her arm out. This can be done in supine just as that way as well. And the reason that can be is that is your most specific to test to see, do you need to rule in? Do you need to rule in the possible diagnosis of the slap? The other things you can do is the active compression test. This was shown by O'Brien to be effective. So what I want you to do is bring your arm out just about right here. Bring it just a little bit closer. Don't let me press you down. Ready? Hold, 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 and relax. Bring your arm up a little bit. Hold, don't let me push down. Ready? Hold, 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 and relax. So that's active compression. And then also along with that as well is you can always do the relocation release test. So actually we'll show that one in just a, actually yeah, go ahead and lay down to your head right here for me. So to kind of show this one a little bit further, this is again for a labral tear, not necessarily for a slap, but since there's not much clusters, we can actually look into the labral. We want to look into a relocation or an apprehension test. We're both two that were actually rated for it. What I can do is come under here, just kind of add a little bit anterior glide. You want max external rotation, 9 degrees of abduction. I want to apply a little bit of an anterior glide with my hand underneath. So to kind of see that better. There we go. So hand comes under here, just like that. So get her to the max and then give a slight anterior glide from there. If that is painful, then we want to try the relocation test. We're going to come down into here. Again, go down like that. And boom, feels better. So provocation and then subsequently reducing it as well. Also with that can be a little bit of the apprehension that can point us towards an instability or a labral pathology as well. There you go. Go ahead and relax. Go ahead and sit up on for me. Another really good one for there, and this actually is not necessarily with labral, but can be, is a relocation release is actually going into that, feeling the pain, pressing down slightly, going into it further. And does that actually increase more mobility? Does that decrease symptoms, etc.? And that show you might have a little bit of that anterior instability. The final one is the AC joint. There's no really cluster rule in or out. Of course, I find it's always extremely beneficial to come in right off the edge and palpate right there. I mean, it should be pretty pinpoint, etc. But actually, some more play that's coming in is coracoid impingement syndrome, which is a little bit into the research right now as a possible differential diagnosis to the AC joint pathology, but not much research is out there again for it. But the one we showed the active compression test. The other one you can do is go ahead and just reach across your body for me, just like that. Perfect. And then relax. Awesome. That's the second one. And then the third one is just in the sense of that is that palpation one, just to see does that reproduce their symptoms, and doing it from the examination that we did in supine as well as going all around it to see if that reproduces it. All right, so the next test we're going to do is, on the sheet it says rotator cuff tendinopathy. Of course, a lot of times this in the literature can also mean subacromial impingement. So that's actually what I went after. I couldn't even find anything specifically looked at rotator cuff tendinopathy, but I did find some clusters that looked at more of your subacromial impingement. And this comes off of Meitner's work in 2009. And he looked at things to be able to rule in and rule out of subacromial impingement syndrome. So there's a few kind of similarities with the test. So if you want to kind of confirm or rule in, to rule out your subacromial impression, there's a few things. And we've done a few of these tests, but one that we haven't done, which is a fully passive test, is NIRS. So just taking the arm, coming up into here, going there and just go right into there. That is NIRS. So NIRS with external rotation weakness and along with the painful arc, all are tests to help rule out subacromial impingement. The exact same goes for to rule in subacromial impingement. What you'll actually do is use the same external weakness, external rotation weakness. You'll also use the painful arc, but empty can will be something to look at as well. So what you can do with empty cans, come up, go here, and just hold your hand down like that. Hold right here, don't press you down, ready? Hold, and relax, just like that. And you can actually, in with this according to Meitner, you can add in the Hawkins-Kennedy. If 3 of the 5, if it's greater than 3 of the 5 tests, you can help rule in subacromial, and then also if it's less than 3, then you can kind of rule out subacromial. But if you go with the cluster that I just mentioned as well, that was mentioned into the test. And the next thing I'm going to be showing is the upper limb tension test. First, to look at the upper limb tension test, what we'll do is the median nerve bias. So coming down here, and taking the patient's arm, what you want to do is come down, kind of block the shoulder. So, and then with the median nerve, come, place them into external rotation, bend the wrist back just like that, and then slowly going down, kind of watching them there any symptoms or anything? Good. Just going just like that. To be positive, of course, it needs to be their symptoms. It needs to be able to differentiate between top and bottom. What we could easily do there is have her side bend away. Does that increase or decrease? And can we desensitize it top to bottom? And then finally, there has to be a difference side to side. Following with that as well is the next one. I come down, block as well. Come make a fist. There we go. Go into pronation and then dropping down just like that. We can also bias that more, going to a little bit more adduction, coming down and going into shoulder extension. The final one being the ulnar nerve. What we can do is the googly eyes. So come up here, going into that external rotation, and then bringing it up here. And actually with this one, going to elbow extension. And then coming up just like that, just to test things out. And then coming down.